damn late. I had to stop by the Wax Museum again and give the finger to FDR.
We know Al-Qaeda, Zawahiri is supporting the opposition in Syria. Are we supporting Al-Qaeda in Syria?
Well, it's a proud day for America. And by God, we've kicked Vietnam syndrome once and for all. Thank you very, very much.
I say it, I say it again, you've been had. You've been took. You've been hoodwinked.
These witnesses are trying to simply deny things that just about everybody else accepts as fact.
He came, he saw, he died.
Well, we ain't killing their army, but we killing them. We be on CNN like, say our name, bitch, say it 3 times.
The meeting of the largest armies in the history of the world. Then there's going to be an invasion.
All right, you guys, on the line, I have got Dan McKnight, and he is an Afghan war combat veteran, and he is the founder of BringOurTroopsHome.us. BringOurTroopsHome.us. And it's this great group. It's already spreading all around the country, and he has a big announcement to make. So welcome back to the show, Dan. How are you doing?
Good, Scott. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really happy to have you here and happy to give you the opportunity to tell everybody about the big thing. So go ahead.
Sure. Next week, Tuesday the 12th and Wednesday the 13th, we're having a gathering in Washington, D.C. We're bringing 100 veterans from around the country and state lawmakers from around the country who are sympathetic to the cause back to D.C. for a press event and for meetings with their congressional delegation in D.C. We've got some exciting event. We've got our keynote speaker is going to be General Don Bolduc, who is a retired Special Forces commander of Africa. He had 10 tours in Afghanistan, 66 months total in country. And he is now running for Senate in New Hampshire against Senator Shaheen. And he's coming to be our keynote speaker to speak on the impact of the endless wars on the U.S. military. And after the event, we're taking all these veterans and state lawmakers to meet with their delegation of Washington and ask them to support withdrawal of troops from Syria and Afghanistan and Yemen and Iraq, and to expire the 2001 and 2002 AUMFs, and then to reclaim their authority under the Constitution to be the only body authorized to declare war before they ever send U.S. troops back into conflict again.
Excellent. All right. Now, did I just hear you right that you said that this guy Bolduc is a 2-star general?
He was a 1-star general, retired. Okay. He was the commander of all Special Forces Africa, so he was in charge of the theater of operations in the Middle East.
Wow. That is great. Man, I would kill an innocent non-combatant to get an anti-war general up there. I'll take 1 star. Good enough. I mean, we've got a lot of great colonels and lieutenant colonels, but general is the magic word to so many people here. And especially, as you said, geez, 10 tours in Afghanistan. Let Hillary Clinton call him a Russian agent. Let's see how well that goes over. Yeah, man. So now, where is this? Tell us again.
Sure.
The day, the time, how people get there, what hotel everybody's staying at, everything that they could need to know to participate in this, especially, and I know that there are some combat veterans and other veterans listening to this show.
You betcha. So Tuesday, the 12th, is just a reception for the people that we're taking with us, the 100 or so veterans and lawmakers. We're picking up the tab for them to come to D.C. with us. And so that's just a dinner at the Indian Gaming Association in Washington, D.C. Lieutenant Governor of Idaho, Janice McGeehan, is going to be speaking about what states can do at the local level. And then, Brigadier General Bolduc is going to also give just a quick fire up the speech, or the troops' speech that night. And then at the end of the evening, we're actually going to be watching a film that you're familiar with, An Endless War, Getting Out of Afghanistan. We're going to be screening that movie for all the participants. And you had a big role in that movie, and we're trying to promote that as well. But then Wednesday the 13th at the National Press Club in Washington, D.C., there's a breakfast in the morning for the participants, and then the doors open at 8:15 or 8 o'clock for anybody that wants to participate. The press, members of Congress have been invited, and their staff have been invited. Any veteran or any concerned citizen that would like to go, it's at 8:15 a.m., and that's going to be some opening remarks by myself and the majority whip from the state of Wyoming, Tyler Lindholm, just talking about the movement and how it started. And then General Bulldog's going to be giving a keynote address in the morning, and he's going to be speaking on the effect of these endless wars on the military. His experiences with 66 months in country, serving as a special forces operator and a commander. And then after that, we've got a couple breakout panels. We've got one that's going to have Lieutenant Colonel Danny Davis, who was the Iraq War and Afghanistan War whistleblower, talking about the waste, the fraud, the abuse, the mismanagement of the war. Lieutenant Colonel Jim Lechner, who's retired Army, coming out of North Carolina, and then Major Dan Sejerzen, who is a former West Point history professor and major in the United States Army. They're going to speak on a panel together, talking about the impact of war on the military. Immediately following that, there's going to be another panel discussion. It's going to be the impact of the endless wars on the African American and minority communities in the United States. And we've got some great speakers for that. Mario Fields, who's a retired Sergeant Major from the Marine Corps. He's the founder and president of Global Inspiration Press. Ellis Craig, who's with 2nd Marine Division, founder of Extend the Reach Beyond. He's creating job opportunities for veterans. He's going to be speaking. And then Stacy Washington, a U.S. Air Force veteran and host of Stacy on the Right broadcast on Urban Family Talk Radio. They're going to hold a panel, and they're going to be talking about, like I said, the impact of these endless wars on the African American and minority communities in the U.S. And then finally, after that, we're going to have a legislative panel where state lawmakers from around the country are going to talk about what the states can do to end the endless wars. And that's going to be Representative Pat McGeehan out of West Virginia, who five sessions in a row has proposed a Defend the Guard legislation. And then Representative Andy Clifford, a Democrat from Wyoming. And again, Majority Whip Tyler Lindholm, a Republican from the state of Wyoming. They're going to be talking about our effort to push this Defend the Guard legislation nationwide this next upcoming legislative session. And then after those panels, Scott, we're going to have just some brief closing remarks. And then we're taking all the veterans and all the participants and anybody that wants to be a part of it to Capitol Hill Triangle, to the House side, for a press conference. And then we're going to break out for lunch and then send everybody to go meet with their senators and congressmen and talk to them, make them look us face to face in the eye and tell us why we can't end these endless wars and why we're fighting them without a proper authorization. And then we're going to ask a very specific ask of everybody we meet with. We're going to ask them to retire the 2001 and 2002 AUMFs and to support the president's efforts to bring troops home from the endless wars in the Middle East. So that's the nuts and bolts of the event.
Man, that sounds just great. And especially, you guys wearing your uniforms and going up there and talking to those congressmen. I had a couple of anti-war veterans call me earlier this week to sort of ask advice. They're going to be meeting with, I forget if this guy's my congressman or not, McCall from here in Texas, near where I live anyway. They're going to go meet with him, and they wanted to, a couple of pointers about, how to do it. And I just said, listen, they're both veterans of the terror wars. One of them of, I think, Afghanistan. The other was a Navy guy, but still, one of them was a combat veteran. And that just go in there and be confident that, you have all the facts on your side and you have the status that congressman has to respect. He can blow off anybody, but he can't blow off you. And that is the magic trick here, is that, whenever we tried to criticize them for sending you off to the war, they hid behind you and said, you can't criticize Dan this way when he's out risking his life and this kind of thing. Well, now you're the one. And so how are they going to hide behind you to you? Right? Now the game is up for the Hawks in Congress, in other words. And you have, I hope you understand, I think you do understand how much power you have at your fingertips right now and the size of the possibility here, the opportunity that you have.
I don't think anything ever changes until veterans do stand up and say enough is enough. I don't think anybody else can take the position that we have. We have skin in the game. We have blood in the game. We have sacrifice. We've come home broken emotionally, physically, mentally, divorced, bankrupt. We have skin in the game. They have to listen to us. And until veterans rise up and demand the attention as a block, as a voting block, these things will go on forever and ever and ever. And just an example of just how silly Washington is right now, Scott. You're gonna love this. my senator is Senator Jim Risch, right, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Foreign Relations. And in response to President Trump pulling out or moving around or playing a shell game with the troops in Syria, whatever point of view you want to take there, Senator Risch and Senator Mendez have decided that they're going to propose legislation, Senate Bill 2641, promoting American national security and preventing the resurgence of ISIS Act of 2019. And it basically greenlights and streamlines the process for Syrian fighters, hardened, war-torn, seasoned fighters, to come to America as refugees. So instead of bringing American troops home from the war in the Middle East, the Risch-Mendez legislation is going to bring foreign fighters to America's shores, America's heartland, and America's neighborhoods. How insane of a world do we live in right now, Scott? Can you believe that?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not too worried about the Kurds, but I don't think they want to come here. I sure don't want a bunch of al-Nusra moderate rebels, though. I'll tell you that. You can keep them.
It's correct. These are the same fighters. We support them. The Kurds did a great job fighting with us, but
I don't think the YPG are any more communist than the Democrats at this point, really.
No, but with what's being perpetuated in the media, that we are abandoning them and they're going to hate Americans because we left them. We brought 28 troops away from the northeastern border. Do we really want people that the media is telling us are going to hate us being brought to our shores? Yeah. I'm not worried about them, but it just shows the level of insanity. They argue out of both sides of their mouth, and it's just gotten to the point where veterans have to stand up and say enough is enough.
Yeah. Well, anyway, and listen, I mean, your efforts here are just fantastic, and I don't know if you'll get C-SPAN there this time or if you can get the news to cover it this time, but this is a huge, first step or second step that you guys are doing here, and hopefully you'll attract a really big crowd, and hopefully you'll attract the attention of other veterans groups and other fed-up Army officers, too, to come and join in on this and help you all along. I mean, I think this has the best potential of any other movement going on in our country right now to bring the foreign policy back to the front of the discussion and really in the right way there. And, especially for guys listening to this show who've been in the wars. Now, here's a chance where you can go, and even if maybe you're a little bit too nervous to do the speaking, you could be standing behind Dan when he's talking to congressmen and senators and making your presence known. He's not speaking for himself. We got a whole group here. And so even if you don't want to take the lead, you don't know how to talk to a congressman and this kind of thing, some of these guys do, but they could still use your support. So, especially veterans, show up and join this group if you can and be there to help to multiply the message for these guys. And so again, hit me again with the date, the time, the place,
sure,
and contact information, website information, everything you got.
Okay, Wednesday, November 13th, the National Press Club at 529 14th Street Northwest in Washington, D.C. 8 o'clock, doors open for the public and any veterans that want to participate. Please show up, participate in the panels, listen to Brigadier General Don Bolduc speak about his belief and understanding of the follies of the forever wars, and hang around for lunch. And then follow us up to the Hill, and we'll set you up with meetings with your congressman if you notify us in advance that you're coming. You can find more information at www.bringourtroopshome.us. And that's it, Scott. I look forward to anybody that wants to participate.
Yeah, and hey, for any important writers in the audience, here's a subject matter for you. I'm talking to you, Hunter Durensis, and other great writers out there listening to this show, that here's something very important that could use some attention. So thank you so much again, Dan, for all your efforts and your time on the show. Appreciate it a lot. Good luck.
Thank you, Scott.
All right, you guys, that is Dan McKnight. He is the founder of BringOurTroopsHome.us, BringOurTroopsHome.us. And again, they're at the Press Club on the 13th, November the 13th, 2019. And then they're going to Capitol Hill. Go with them. All right, y'all. Thanks. Find me at libertarianinstitute.org, at scotthorton.org, antiwar.com, and reddit.com/Scott Horton Show. Oh, yeah, and read my book, Fool's Errand, Time to End the War in Afghanistan, at foolserrand.us.